Drip watering not only saves water and nutrients, but it also makes sure that every plant gets the food it needs. Drip watering works in a way that can be predicted. The water is spread out by tubes and nozzles that are close to the ground and spray water directly on the soil above the roots. After that, this water goes into the ground and feeds the plants. The roots can take in more water before it disappears with this simple but effective method. Sometimes the watering system goes right through the ground, giving water to the roots of plants that are below the ground. Compared to traditional watering systems that spray a lot of water across the field, which causes more water to evaporate, both of these methods lower the amount of water needed to keep big crop fields alive. Drip irrigation is often used for growing fruits and veggies, but it can also work very well for growing field crops like corn, wheat, and rice. Israeli studies from the past few years show that drip farming is the best way to grow these kinds of foods. Using drip irrigation instead of standard paddy systems has been shown to make the rice yield in a certain area go up by a huge amount. One big benefit is that crops can be grown more quickly. Another benefit is that drip gardening uses 70% less water, which helps protect water sources. Compared to traditional farming ways, it also cuts methane emissions by almost 100% and arsenic uptake by up to 90% respectively. These numbers are big, and they open up a whole new world of healthy farming. The harsh truth is that the dry conditions Israel is currently fighting could become normal in many places as the Earth's climate changes and droughts happen more often. If we don't wait so long, though, it will be better for everyone. It seems like drip irrigation could be a way to save resources, while also growing crop yields and lowering greenhouse gas emissions like methane. This method is good for both people and the earth. Besides that, Israel hasn't stopped yet. Instead, they've added variable rate irrigation, VRI, technology to their already eco-friendly drip watering methods to make them even more sustainable. This cutting-edge technology could change the world in a big way. With the help of sensors and software, VRI can measure things like nutrient levels and wetness levels. This lets it give the right amount of water to each plant based on its needs. This is a big step forward because it makes sure that each crop gets the right amount of water to grow while wasting as little as possible. As an example, the sensors keep an eye on the soil's moisture level, the rate of transpiration, and the temperature in the area all day long. Using this comprehensive data, a computer can accurately calculate the exact amount of water needed by each plant at any given time. Because of this, plants next to each other may get very different amounts of water based on the type of crop they have and what it needs. Because the VRI system makes a unique watering schedule for each plant, this customized method improves crop yield and growth. The amazing thing about VRI systems that are turning Israeli fields into farmland right now is that they can work with other irrigation systems around the world. VRI can be used by farms that use traditional spraying ways to find specific areas of crops that need different amounts of water. This is made possible by adding VRI technology and GPS devices to the way farmers water their crops every day. The VRI software can tell a farmer which parts of their field need to be watered, and when by looking at the weather and how saturated the soil is. In the end, this will increase food yields and lower water use. Additionally, GPS can find changes in slope and terrain that may have an effect on water runoff, making sure plants get the right amount of water. Farmers and irrigation experts must work together to make the VRI system fit the needs of each farmer in order for this technology to be used properly. As technology improves in Israel, it gets easier for people to live together. It is very possible that VRI will become the standard for most farmers in the future, especially in places like Israel, Africa, and India, where it is used with drip farming. Israel has come up with amazing new ways to farm because they need to change and improve their methods. In spite of this, Israeli farmers and experts are not done yet. More technology progress is needed to make sure that food production in deserts can continue in the future. This is where automation and tracking are very important. so that plants can get the water they need even when the farmer isn't there, like when they're selling their crops, or at night. Automated watering systems have been made. Along with variable rate irrigation and drip irrigation, these systems have helped farmers spend less time watering their crops and more time picking and running their businesses. Even though it doesn't rain very often in many places of Israel, these systems work together to look at weather patterns and keep crops from getting too much or too little water. As the world's population grows and the temperature changes, it becomes more important to make sure there is enough food production. However, this job is often hard to do, especially in developing countries with few resources that are also seeing a lot of population growth. Israel has been very open about sharing its agricultural innovations, and many groups are working hard to get these tools to places that need them the most. Israel also uses other farming methods that not only increase food yields, but also have less of an effect on the environment and use fewer resources. Significant changes have been made to the agricultural industry thanks to vertical farming and hydroponics. Today, greenhouses make it possible to grow plants in small areas without using dirt. Plants get the nutrients and water they need through hydroponic systems with little waste. These self-contained systems also make it easier to recycle water, which makes it easier to control waste and get rid of pests than with traditional farming methods. Israel has also been looking into using natural ways to get rid of weeds and bugs on their farms. Weeds and insects can hurt crops even in the desert because they are both looking for food. Scientists in Israel have done tests using modified pollen that target the reproductive cycle of weeds directly. In contrast to pesticides, these pollen are much safer because they don't contain chemicals that are bad for people and animals. Furthermore, these modified pollen are very good at getting rid of herbicide-resistant weed types. Weeds can't get used to pollen because it's a normal part of their reproductive cycle. In addition, Israel has used simpler methods to increase crop yields in desert areas. For example, shade cloth covers stop water from evaporating and shield plants from the sun's intense rays, keeping them from drying out. Innovative farming methods that work even in difficult conditions are being used by farmers in Israel. These methods include both new technologies, like variable rate irrigation, and old ones, like shade cloths. Going back to basics is another thing Israel is doing. They are growing foods that are more durable and do well in dry places. Even though this might make sense, a lot of farming companies around the world grow plants that aren't native to their area or don't do well there. It is possible to grow almost anything anywhere as long as you use too much water and chemical fertilizers. This method, on the other hand, is very bad for the land and can't be used in the long term. This kind of farming makes problems worse by causing environmental disasters like algae blooms and resource loss. So, Israeli scientists and farmers are working hard to make plants that can survive in dry conditions and to breed seeds that need less water and food to grow. The Ramon almond, for example, can survive embolisms that stop a tree's water vessels, which lets it grow well in dry places. According to a study done by Israeli scientists, the Ramon almond could become an important crop in the future as climate change makes things drier and hotter. Furthermore, lemon trees have been found to be the best plants to grow in Israel's deserts, especially when mixed with modern irrigation systems. After taking in enough carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, these trees can close their stomata, which are like holes on our skin. This process keeps the body from taking in too much CO2 and also keeps water loss to a minimum. It is not sustainable to grow crops that need a lot of water in a desert, but it is sustainable to grow crops that don't need much water using recycled water and modern irrigation systems, like they do in Israel.